Hello, this is Cho of the Shiny Colors Discord. Today we're going to be taking a look at the best season of April. I know this is a little late, but things have been kind of chaotic, and I'm trying to get a lot of stuff done this week before the week is over. So let's go ahead and get things started. The first best season of April gave us one of the funniest best seasons in terms of overall design bias. The April 1st banner not only gave us the gritty detective story to muse over, but Tenka7 and her absolutely biased vocal fest that actively worked against many of the major teams while letting Austromedia reap all the benefits. Just looking at the grade 7 numbers gives you a pretty good idea when Vocal Austromedia represents 45% of the top 100, with the next closest team being Visual Straylight at 10%, so 10 teams out of the top 100, followed by Dance Straylight at 9 out of 100. With a commanding 45% play rate in grade 7 and 38% in grade 6, Vocal Austromedia's comeback felt sudden and seemingly out of nowhere considering the quality of other cards that weren't Tenka. Grade 5 would see Vocal Straylight regain their former glory temporarily at 36%, surprisingly far ahead of the 11% Vocal Austro in this grade. Just looking at grade 6 for a moment, we have Vocal Austro at 38%, followed by Vocal Straylight straylight at 15%, and Dance Straylight at 9%, with Dance Illumine not far behind at 8%. Also, Dance Austro at 11%, which is nice to see as well. For the grade 5 numbers, Vocal Straylight at 36%, then we have teams like Dance Illumine at 13%, Vocal Austro at 11%, Vocal Hokura at 9%, Dance Straylight at 8%. Each grade would see a fair number of teams relevant across all shapes and sizes, and Tenka7 clearly showed that Vocal Austro has some level of promise. The Dance Koito support on this banner didn't leave too much of a mark by comparison, as Dance saw relatively low play this season for a handful of reasons. Moving on, one thing we learned about permanent banners as we go is that their impact on the meta is typically low. Jury 7's banner, the second for the month of April, did not do much to improve anything regarding Hokuda placements, though the Fuyuko featured in the banner would see growing usage thanks to her innate synergy with plenty of meta-relevant vocal supports. This season would prove to once again be ran by Vocal Austromedia, this time on a stage with a little more even ground compared to the previous season. In grade 7, Vocal Austromedia reached 40% of the top 100, followed by Dance Illumine at 15%, and the next closest surprisingly only being Dance Straylight or Visual Straylight tied at 6%. Dance, Straylight, and Illumine would attempt to rattle the cage in this season, but it wasn't enough to dethrone Tenka7, hard carrying Vocal Austro to the top. Looking at grade 6, we have Dance Illumine at 20%, but Vocal Austro at 23%, and Dance Straylight at 18%, rounding out your top 3. Grade 5 would see Dance Illumine narrowly taking the top percentage, 18% versus 13% on Dance Straylight and 15% on Vocal Straylight. So, just barely. Then teams like Vocal Hokura at 9%, Dance Austro at 5%, Vocal Austro at 8%. Now, at this point, Illumine's core build was powerful enough to contest most teams in fest scenarios that don't outright attempt to sabotage their attack stat, so that's why we saw Dance Illumine do well here. And kinda goes to show that Dance Illumine, all things considered, still has reasons to be played in metas even when it feels like Dance Illumine is not the one to consider. Lastly, we have a doozy of a season, which is the Twilight Collection. This season gave us Mono 8, or TC Mono, and it proved that her strength was the real deal. Having an improved stat growth on top of ludicrous passives and a team-blind bonus made her the card to beat. While her dominance wasn't as severe as Tenka7's just 2 seasons earlier, the echoes of her and Kaho's impact were felt on every team competing. Visual Illumine in grade 7 hitting 43% of the top 100, followed by teams like Dance Austromedia at 9%, Dance Illumine at 7%, Dance Straylight at 8%. But we also see a lot of visual teams in this top 100 as well, including Visual Noctil and Visual Straylight. And, depending, the small little sliver of orange next to Dance Hokura and Dance Antika is actually Visual Hokura, getting 1 representative in the top 100. Looking at grade 6, Visual Illumine was at 39% of the top 100. Then we had teams like Visual Noctil with 10%, Dance Illumine with 10%, and Dance Straylight with 11%. Also Dance Hokura at 9%. This season was notable in how hard it was to keep visual judges healthy even with Daikichi. Mono being able to power through the interest reverse because of her interest ignore gave many players and lots of AI teams plenty of pause when attempting to use it. because all it would mean is that they effectively waste a turn because anything they tried to stall is immediately stopped by Mono having the right appeal at the right time. Now, Kaho proved herself to be invaluable to visual teams such as Alstroemeria and Nocchill, which did see a fair bit of play here, at the very least, have some kind of numbers put up on here when you consider that those teams haven't gotten a lot personally in a while. But the player-voted banner helped solidify the face of this fest for sure. Daikichi's return, the fastest we'd ever seen for a card, considering that she had only been just released a couple months earlier, is very surprising when usually the rerun schedule is every 2 years. As well as some other key pieces for visual Nocchill, really helped make sure that those teams had pieces to work with for people that maybe just started recently, and gave plenty for Dance Stray to work with as well as Fuyuko was brought back into the mix. Of course, then we also have the grade 5 numbers, which we saw teams like Vocal Straylight at 16%, Visual Nocchill actually taking the top spot at 19%, and Visual Illuminate at 18%. Other teams like Visual Straylight got to show up. She's are notable here at 6%. We also see Visual Alstro, so plenty of visual going around for this fest. Now, we saw plenty of things change in this month of fest that both improved things, but also created harder teams to surmount, depending on how you want to look at it. Of note, for the final season of this month, Tenka 7's reign lasted a whole 2 seasons before Mono 8 claimed the throne. We also saw that visual teams quickly adapted the new Kaho support into their ranks, as well as 3-member and 4-member teams utilizing Mono 8 if visual was their primary stat. Mono's 5% buff to everyone's appeal strength is fairly small impact at first glance, but has slowly pushed scores up a tad at this stage of the game, making promotions that much harder. When you combine this with the fact that Daikichi also raised scores, things are starting to get a little hazy for people that were maybe able to float a lot easier in earlier months and are now struggling to do so. This also goes to show that no matter how strong your card is, if you have 0 points and there's not enough merit to run the card, you may see the card disappear or fall off really hard. Sorry, Tenka. The standout supports of the month feature an old and new addition. Kaho proved herself almost immediately that she can make visual teams viable by herself. Her combined passives and insanely effective mastery combinations led to making builds significantly stronger and more consistent in the early and mid game, which is very ideal as the meta has sped up significantly since the previous months. This combined with Mono's ability to ignore interest has caused Daikichi to still be relevant against non-Mono teams, but is hard-pressed to shut down the visual judge from dying in 1 to 2 turns if visual is the favorable attribute. We also saw late Mikoto begin seeing more play as visual Shis saw more opportunity to come out and actually participate. And believe me, they did and they will when we talk about the May banner. People have been paying attention. It's going to be pretty interesting. This month of Fest did its best to shake the foundation that we were settled on by giving us the rapid rise and fall of Vocal Alstroemeria, but let Visual Illuminate settle in with a force. Just looking at the top 3 teams for the month, it's surprising to see 2 variations of Illuminate technically round things out. While Tenka is here by pure numbers, she will probably not be here next month through the power of foresight. Mono's variation of Visual Illuminate at this point is straight up oppressive, bolstering her entire team through her unique passive and letting her power through the most meta-defining effects that hampered teams over the last few months, making her a very competent card to use and a devastating team to run into. Since we haven't had any reruns outside of the set we voted on, I'm skipping that section for this month, as nothing's really changed, and at this point we don't know when reruns are going to happen because now we have Twilight's collection to consider as well, which seems to be slowing things down. Jury 7, as mentioned before, did nothing for Hokura at all, while Tenka 7 gave Alstroemeria a huge boost for a few weeks until her bonus points ran out, then fell back into the usual rotation of being playable for certain, but not the dominating force behind a season. The original thought about them buffing Rainbow Illuminate was shot down by them buffing Visual Illuminate instead. Visual in general won really hard with this last month when you consider everything, and will continue to win going forward. If you're deciding on what to invest into, Visual Shis are on the up and up. As we know, they got a certain piece going into May that gave them a huge consistency boost that has even outlived the usual bonus points duration. The main issue now, for players that are just trying to get into Grade Fest, is that the pieces we're getting, or have gotten already, only improve upon teams that are already well established, so it's hard to get invested in this current meta without having a bunch of pieces already. I would say it's most advisable to wait for the big, limited banners on teams that haven't had a lot of support. So teams like Dance Nocchill, for example. We saw the recent Nichika, actually, which is hinting at maybe more attributes for Shis, so maybe we'll see a vocal or dance Shis eventually. Seems like visual Hokura are still on the up and up, which are other possibilities. Or you can simply just wait for Twilight's collection when it reappears to see whatever card is going to come out of that, because that will almost certainly be able to update and refine a new meta for a team. That will do it for the video today. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. If you enjoy these types of videos, please let me know. If there's anything you'd like me to add to these videos, again, please let me know. Next time we'll be talking about the month of May, which will probably happen in a couple weeks, so let's look forward to that together. I'm sure it'll be pretty interesting. Till next time, I've been Cho, thanks for watching, have a wonderful rest of your day.